am here with Grammy-nominated harpist Brandee Younger. She's going to be here in Detroit for the 45th annual Detroit Jazz Festival, playing on the restored harp of Alice Coltrane. It's been restored by Lyon and Healy, and it's making its new debut here in Detroit, the birth home of Alice Coltrane. Let's lay the foundation. For those who may not know about Alice Coltrane, explain to us the legacy and work that Alice Coltrane, as a harpist, as an organist and pianist, contributed to jazz and to music.
We actually don't have time for all of that because it is just monumental what she's done as a musician and also as a spiritual leader. But her first records were recorded in the late 60s, early 70s, right on Long Island, where I'm from, which is now, it's the Coltrane home, the John and Alice Coltrane home. And actually, Alice Coltrane didn't have a harp until Long Island. So this harp did not live in Detroit. This will be like christening. I'm like over the moon. This is literally bringing the harp to her home.
Yes,
And but she had so many albums. So she recorded the first few on Long Island, right there in the home studio, which was
yes.
John Coltrane's wish for the home to have a studio. Sadly, he did not live to see it, but she saw it to fruition after his death. She moved to California and she did record more albums, but then really focused on her spirituality, where she continued to always play music and to record music, but stopped commercially recording until she recorded Translinear Light after a long, long hiatus of commercial recording, which is an incredible album.
Rewinding, going back to John Coltrane, he had an untimely death at the young age of 40 years old. And he was really moving his music forward in a different direction, in a spiritual direction. It was building on the harmonies and sound of the music. And so shortly after his passing, there was a knock on Alice Coltrane's door, and there was a harp delivered. She didn't even play the harp at that time.
So you're absolutely right. She learned the harp. What's funny in harp nerddom, many years ago when I met a harp technician he's passed away now, but his name is Sam Milligan. And I met him to talk about harp nerding out. And he said, "Oh, I remember that purchase. I worked in the harp showroom at that time." Um, Lyon Healy and the other harp company, Salvi, they had a showroom on 57th Street. This is near Carnegie Hall in Manhattan. And, at that time, the harp that they got, it's called a Style 11, that's the model name. That was literally the top tier harp. That was so I can imagine them coming, you know what, give me the best that you have. But the harp did take a year to complete. So John Coltrane never saw it. It's really sad, but also really beautiful how she really took to it and took to it in her own way, which is really, really special and really important when we hear the sound that she creates with the instrument.
Absolutely. It came as a kind of a gift during such a grievous time, losing your husband, but then having this gift dropped off literally on your doorstep, and then embracing it, not running away from it, and taking it and using it as a tool to continue to move the mission of the music forward. And now it's been restored, which is not a minor undertaking. How did the process of restoring Alice Coltrane's harp come about?
So the harp lived at Michelle's house. And a few years back, I came over the house and I looked at it and, of course, fell in love with the harp, of course, of course. But had a harp technician look at it just to see, like, you know, it's been a number of years. You just want to make sure that, it's up and running the way it should. So the bottom of the harp, which is
Right.
called the base, we had that repaired, and also the neck. Now the neck is that part that everyone recognizes as a harp. um, had that repaired, and of course, That means we also get new strings. We also get some of the gold. It's 18 karat gold. It's
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah. It's a really beautiful and it's a special instrument. And also the design on the soundboard, they don't even make the design in this way anymore. Nowadays, I believe they use mostly decals, but
Mhm.
this is beautifully hand painted on the soundboard. So it's really, really a special instrument. And it's important that it has its original soundboard, which means that it has the same sound and it's matured over all of these years.
Brandee Younger will be performing on Alice Coltrane's restored harp at the 45th annual Detroit Jazz Festival as a part of the Translinear Light, the music of Alice Coltrane, featuring Ravi Coltrane, with special guest, of course, Brandee Younger, Reggie Workman, who recorded with John Coltrane and collaborated with Alice Coltrane. How exciting and what an honor it must be for you to have this privilege to perform on the harp in Detroit, the birth home of Alice Coltrane.
It's truly an honor, and you know, time flies by so quickly. But I've had the opportunity to play Alice Coltrane's music with Ravi twice before in the past. The first being shortly after her memorial. Um, we did a beautiful tribute to her, and then a few years ago again, but this time so much has changed, so much time has passed. There's been a resurgence in all things Alice Coltrane. There's been almost like a rebirth of love for her. And we've got this harp on stage. So I am really particularly, I mean, I'm always excited to do it, but this one just feels really monumental.
What are you cooking up for us in this performance that's coming up at the Detroit Jazz Festival? This monumental performance.
For everyone that has heard all of the past tributes that we've done together, this one is going to be absolutely different. Robbie picked all of the music, and I have my go-tos that people just expect to hear me play. We're not playing any of those.
If you come expecting to hear what you normally hear from Brandee when she pays homage to Alice Coltrane, get it out of your mind, get it out of your ears, and prepare yourself to embrace something new that you haven't heard. So, Brandee, if people miss you in Detroit, which I hope they don't, if they feel like packing their bags and catching you somewhere else, you will be touring with the Alice Coltrane harp.
So, there are some special select performances where I'll have her harp. My performance calendar is on my website, and for the very special performances that are Alice Coltrane centered, those will be highlighted for sure. Those are big deals. Those are not run of the mill playing here, running there, playing here, running there, but really just the special, special concerts.
Well, Brandee, I have to say, none of your concerts are run of the mill. I have had the pleasure of watching you perform in Detroit. It's definitely an experience to be a part of. And the Alice Coltrane harp, you performing on it, is just taking it to the next level, making it even more special. So don't listen to her when she says run of the mill, guys.
Thank you, Cecilia.
Alice Coltrane, Dorothy Ashby, but today our focus is on Alice Coltrane. Built such a foundation and paved a path. How does that guide you as a harpist?
It's completely my guide, both Ashby and Coltrane, because what you guys have in Detroit is something that no one else really has in this country. You have Castag. We don't have that. So where you could look to the left and look to the right and see someone that looks like you that plays harp, that's very rare. And especially when I was younger, it was very rare. So to have these two black women examples was everything. But the fact that they were going against the grain and playing the kind of music they wanted to play, the style of music they wanted to play, and not really seeing boundaries in terms of genre and where the instrument belonged, that opened up everything. I'm the queen of, oh, harp can fit with that. Yeah, harp fits there. Harp fits everywhere if you ask me. And that's because of them.
Yes. Yes, definitely breaking down those boundaries, those barriers. Not that it was necessarily easy for them, but they definitely went against the grain and showed that there are no limits to what you can do.
I'm glad that you mentioned that it wasn't easy, that it was difficult because
Mhm.
not only was it a non-traditional jazz instrument, they were also women.
And
And
African American women.
yes, I mean, it's just a triple whammy, playing this instrument in a male-dominated field, and then playing this um, white-dominated instrument, being Black women, is really an undertaking.
It absolutely was. Dorothy Ashby gave an interview, and she was talking about no one wanted to hear a Black woman playing the harp, let alone playing jazz on the harp. But she knew what was in her heart, as Alice Coltrane did, and they just continued to persevere and do what they felt was right and where the instrument needed to go, despite the challenges, for lack of a better word, at the moment that they faced.
And aren't we so fortunate?
Brandee, is there anything that you want to leave our audience with?
I'm just so grateful to be a part of this time in history. I do hope that everyone makes it to the festival to hear the performance. But if you don't, please continue to follow the John and Alice Coltrane home and to support, because I mean, just learning about everything that happened there and everything that is in the plans moving forward, I think we'd all want to be a part of it. So please just continue to support the music, live music, and the home.
Brandee, thank you so much for your time. I know that you have to go. It's great to speak with you again, and I look forward to hearing you at the 45th Annual Detroit Jazz Festival as a part of the Translinear Light, the music of Alice Coltrane.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you.
Watch One Detroit, Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.